Welcome to PBI Radio. I'm Chris Guns. I'm about to check in with Harold Lederman, see what effect the debut performance of Gennady Golovkin had on the man. Harold Lederman, welcome to the show. When I first spoke to you a few months back, one of my questions for you was, who has HBO not showcased yet that you wish that they would? And I remember that the person you spoke of with the most excitement, from what I remember, was Gennady Golovkin. I guess the powers that be heard you loud and clear, and you saw Golovkin firsthand on Saturday night. He outgunned Gregor's Praska. I don't know how to say the name, but he totally outgunned him and looked sensational. What'd you think of Mr. Golovkin, Harold?
Well, certainly he's a force to be reckoned with. He's a real good puncher, and he takes a good punch. And, it's interesting. I think for the first time in a long time, he seems happy. He's not fighting with a promoter. He doesn't have any court cases going on. I mean, he had a tough time. He was, trying to get out of his contract, I guess, with Universum, and, he was always in these court cases, and it really held up his career. But Saturday night, he's with K2. That's the people that have Vitali Klitschko and Vladimir Klitschko. And, so he doesn't have any promotional problems, anything like that. He wanted to be on HBO. He got on HBO. He wanted to fight in the United States. And he's training with Abel Sanchez, who's a very, very nice guy. And he's learning to speak English very well in California, up in Big Bear. So, he was really contented. And he looked very, very good. He's aggressive. He comes straight forward. He takes a good punch. Doesn't get cut easily, and he sure can crack. I mean, you can tell that by his. He's got an awful lot of knockouts, and he looks like he can really punch.
Does he remind you of anybody in particular?
Well, no, not really. I mean, I think he's got his own individual style. He's not long, lean, and lanky like a Ray Robinson, and certainly he doesn't move like a Sergio Martinez, and he certainly is somewhat like a Julio Cesar Chavez, but he doesn't go to the body that often. And I think he's got his own style, and I think right now he's in the hottest division in boxing with Daniel Gale winning a world title, and we got the winner of Chavez Martinez coming up next week, would be good competition for him, and certainly Peter Quillen is right in that mix. So it's a terrific division. A lot of good fights on the horizon if they can be made, and I'm excited about the middleweights.
Yeah, Golovkin said he's willing to fight anyone from 154 to 168, and
yeah, I'd like to see him stay at 160 because it's a division full of, as they say, good good competition and real good fighters there. So if he stays within the 160-pound division instead of going up to super middleweight, I think that could really make for some fights that the public would enjoy.
Yeah, I'll ask you this: if both guys, I know you don't like to give your opinion on a fight you're going to score, but what do you think if both guys come and do as they're supposed to do? How good of a fight do you think Andre Ward and Chad Dawson can be on Saturday night?
Well, to say the least, it's intriguing. Let's start with the A-team. Let's take a look at Andre Ward. I mean, here's a guy that not only did he win the Super 6, I mean, he never loses a fight, and to be honest, he hardly ever loses a round. I mean, you certainly can't say he's far from perfection so far in his career. I mean, he beat a lot of tough guys, Carl Frosch is no pushover. He's shown that time and time again. And Andre Ward just walked right through him. And, I mean, Andre Ward is just, it's freaky. He's so good. He just keeps on winning and winning and winning. And, he's a terrific guy. He's very personable, and he picks his spots, who he wants to fight, where he wants to fight, and it's amazing. The guy's done super well in his career, and arguably the third best fighter in the world today. On the other hand, Bad Chad Dawson has beaten a lot of great fighters in his career. I mean, he's got wins over people like Glenn Johnson and Thomas Adamek. Bernard Hopkins, Jean Pascal. I mean, he's a guy that knows how to fight. And he's a southpaw. And, where did we ever see a guy saying, well, I don't sell tickets in my hometown, so we'll go to your hometown, and I'll come down to meet you at 168. Yeah. I mean, he's dropping 7 pounds to take on Andre Ward. So Shad must know something. He's not going out there to lose. That's for darn sure. He's going out there to win, and that means that him and John Scully must be training awfully, awfully hard wherever they're training. I guess it's Las Vegas. And, you know, I think he's going to come ready to fight and put up a real good fight, you know?
Yeah.
I hope Andre Ward's not taking him lightly, but then again, Andre Ward never took anybody lightly, so it's a very intriguing fight, to say the least.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, and I'm also excited about the Sergio Martinez-Julio Cesar Chavez fight now. What do you think about that one?
Well, you know, it's funny you ask. Before the Andy Lee fight with Chavez, I couldn't find any of my friends that thought that Julio Cesar Chavez belonged in the same ring with Sergio Martinez. I mean, and now they've done like a 360, and they're all saying, Julio's too big, you know? Julio will make 160 at the weigh-in and then weigh 180 the next day, you know? I mean, it's amazing. The guy, he just keeps getting better in each fight, and, you know, he uses that big size of his to lean on you and push you into the ropes and pound you in the body, and he does it very, very well. Martinez, on the other hand, awkward guy. You could watch tapes of him a million times and never figure him out. You know, he's got that vicious left hand over the top, and he can really crack with it. You know, not the easiest guy to hit. He uses that ring real well. We saw his power when he knocked out Paul Williams, what was it, the second round, and in the rematch. You know, he's got freaky power. He really does. Whole body comes behind the shot. And the question is, can Chavez stand up to that? So, you know, there again, very interesting fight. I think it's well, you know, it's the kind of fight that I like for the simple reason that you really can't pick a winner. You don't know who's going to win. I mean, we get too many fights on TV where, you're going in and you say, I know that this guy's going to win. I mean, we all knew that Nonito Donaire was going to beat Omar Narvaez, for example. You know what I mean? It was ridiculous. You know who was going to win before the fight started? Well, in Martinez-Chavez, you just don't know. I mean, you know, either guy's got a real good chance to win that fight. So, you know, Julio Jr. certainly has his father's genes, and he's certainly starting to show him a little bit. I mean, you know, every time he fights, he gets a little bit more like his dad. And, you know, that same viciousness, that same aggressiveness, that same ability to bang to the body. So, you know, I'm looking for an exciting night of boxing once again. You know, maybe 2 weeks in a row we'll get 2 real good, exciting nights of boxing. Yeah,
and on the same night, you can't be scoring 2 fights on different channels at one time. Showtime has a big fight, too, on September 15th. They got Canelo Alvarez and Josesito Lopez. What do you see happening in that fight? Now, you're not scoring it, so you could give your...
You know, I believe, I mean, that, you know, that Canelo's a terrific prospect. I don't understand Golden Boy know-how. I just don't understand why they wanted to run the same night as Chavez Martinez. I mean, they had every chance to move the fight because of the pullout, you know, of Victor Ortiz. You know, he got beat, and, you know, they could have moved the date. I just think that it's a shame that they both got to go the same night. I like Canelo. Canelo, to me, for 21 years old, he's got some skills. I mean, you know, he's got the skills of a really experienced veteran guy. You know, he does what the real veterans do. And he's a very young guy with a lot of fights under his belt. I mean, I think he's a terrific, terrific prospect. And I think certainly he is the best at 154. Can't take it away from him. The guy can move, he can box, he can punch. You know, he's personable. The fans love him, especially Guadalajara. Just an amazing fighter. On the other hand, he's fighting a guy that's coming up from 140 pounds. Now, I like Josesito Lopez because he's a gutty guy. I like Ken Thompson and the program that he runs in Ontario, California, where he developed Lopez. And, you know, he's gone an awful long way in his career so far. But I think he's taken on a guy who's a little bit too skillful, who's a little bit too big, and hits a little bit too hard. You know, I know Josesito is in basically a no-lose position because nobody figures he's going to win the fight, and he's certainly getting paid well. So, you know, I know darn well he's going to be in there trying. I know darn well he's going to do the best he can with Canelo. But I expect Canelo to win the fight because, as I say, it really is a junior middleweight fight and a junior welterweight. You know, so it should be, you know, a big size advantage for Canelo. I mean, if Josesito's moving up any more, I think it'll slow him up, to tell you the truth. I think 140 is his ideal weight, and certainly if he comes in at 140, he's not big enough to fight Canelo.
Yeah, and quickly, I don't want to let you go without saying a little something about Vitali Klitschko. He's fighting Martinez-Jr on Saturday. What do you think of Martinez-Jr's chances for an upset?
I think the same thing everybody else thinks. I've never seen the guy. He's undefeated. Anybody that's undefeated, you got to figure he's got some chance to win this fight. I guess the guys at K2 knew that he could fight a little. I just hope that he's able to stand up to Vitali for a few rounds. Any ratings that you look at, he's not rated too highly, that's for sure. And the odds in Vegas are ridiculous. I mean, I think it's something like 50 to 1 for Vitali. So, Vitali's a huge favorite, and once again, Martinez-Jr's in a no-lose position. So all he's got to do is come in and start, shooting for the fences. I mean, look to throw a knockout punch, and, you never know. I mean, maybe Vitali got a little bit old. He's the older of the two brothers, and if Martinez-Jr can catch him, it'd be one of the great upsets in the history of boxing.
How good is Vitali in the pantheon of heavyweights, would you say?
How can you take it away from a guy that just does nothing but win? He takes on everybody, and he keeps winning. I mean, both brothers, they're very, very big guys, and they're terrific athletes. They're always in shape, and they hit hard, and they just keep on winning, and they win impressively. They don't win close fights. They just win, huge. And in the past 3-4 years, they just, there's nobody can even touch them. So, I like the both of them. I mean, I like Vladimir, and certainly I like Vitali. I think Vitali's the better puncher of the two. But, he's the older guy. Vladimir's still pretty young, and I think Vladimir's got a lot of fights in front of him.
And you were excited for good reason over Golovkin. Who do you wish that HBO would debut next, if it was up to you?
A question to answer. I'm not really sure, to tell you the truth. There's a lot of guys out there that I like, guys on the way up, young guys. Certainly we showed one of them the other night in Jonathan Gonzales, but he was sort of out of shape, to be honest with you. If he was in any kind of shape, he would have beaten Zinzera, because I think Zinzera showed that he's over the hill. He couldn't throw more than one punch at a time. 12 rounds, he only threw one punch. He kept throwing that right jab, but he would only throw one. He'd never double it. And, so certainly Jonathan Gonzales has got to be considered a prospect at junior middleweight. I love the kid that we're going to have on, I think it's end of October, if I'm not mistaken, Thomas Delorme from Puerto Rico. He's a real good welterweight. I mean, a super good prospect, and I'm anxious for his HBO debut, without doubt. I'd like to see Ishmael Salak come back. I mean, he did get knocked out in his last fight, surprisingly, but I think he's a talented guy, and I think he could be a real force in the light heavyweight division. I think light heavyweights is a place I'd love to see HBO go after light heavyweights. I think there's a lot of good fights there with Nathan Cleverly doing as good as he's doing, and Chad Dawson if he goes back to light heavyweight. I just think it's a good division, and we always got exciting fights from Tavoris Cloud. So, I'd love to see HBO delve into light heavyweights a little, but I think there's a lot of good fights there.
And that was supposed to be my last question, but I just want to get your thought on how what did you think of Jonathan Gonzales missing weight by 15 pounds? I mean,
well, it's funny. You never know what's going on in a guy's household or at home. Who knows what kind of problems he had? You figure a guy with 15 fights and putting him on HBO, you figure he'd get in the best possible shape, and here he comes in 9 pounds over the weight. So, it's hard to explain, not knowing that much about his background or what was going on in his life, But I'll tell you one thing, he can punch. He punches awful hard. Yeah. And he's a guy that, if he does get his head on straight, I think he's got a good career. I really like the kid. And, I'm just hoping that, he doesn't become another, you should pardon the expression, Johan Guzman, not making a weight in one fight after another. I really think if he gets his head on straight, he comes in at 54 and he comes ready to fight, he could be a serious threat at 154. In other words, I could honestly say that him and Canelo one of these days might make a pretty good fight.
Yep, agreed. Thanks for your time, Harold. You're great.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Have a good one. Thanks.
Bye now.
The great Harold Lederman, everybody. And I want to thank Harold for giving his time and giving his opinions and going into such great detail. Follow me on Twitter at Chris2Guns. Thank you.